You're sitting alone in your house at night, and you hear a faint scrape coming from the ceiling. Your heart spikes. It's a primal reaction. But you eventually brush it off as an old house settling. In March 1922, a family in rural southern Germany heard those exact same sounds. Freezing rain had been falling for days, turning the surrounding dirt roads into rivers of thick mud. Out here, the Hinterkaifeck farm sat in total isolation. There were no busy roads, no close neighbors. If an emergency happened, there was no immediate help available, just miles of empty fields sitting under a gray mist. The only people living on the property were the patriarch, Andreas Gruber, and his family. When you are located this far from civilization, your home stops functioning as a sanctuary. The sheer distance from town turns the property into an enclosed trap where nobody can see what happens. On the afternoon of March 31st, a new maid arrived at the farm to start her first day of work. She was brought in to replace a previous servant who had packed up and quit months earlier. That former maid left because she was absolutely convinced the farmhouse was haunted. The new arrival ignored those local rumors. She unpacked her bags and started her chores. But by midnight, she and every single member of the Gruber family were dead. To understand how 6 people were massacred so rapidly on a quiet farm, we have to look closely at the weeks leading up to that rainy night. The family had rationalized away every anomaly as a ghost story or the work of a passing drifter. In reality, a very real human intruder was leaving a trail of physical mistakes right in front of them. Days before the murders, Andreas Gruber walked outside and noticed a set of footprints in the fresh snow. They started at the edge of the nearby forest. This diagram shows what he found. Tracks led from the tree line to the farmhouse, with 0 footprints leading back. Soon, silence gave way to a new sound. Footsteps moved to the attic, pacing directly above the family's beds. The intrusions grew increasingly brazen. A newspaper that nobody had subscribed to mysteriously appeared inside the home. Shortly after that, a set of house keys completely vanished. Andreas mentioned these events to neighbors, suggesting someone might be watching the farm. The neighbors completely dismissed his concerns. "We all do this. We hear a floorboard creak and blame the wind. We see strange footprints and assume a hiker passed through." The human brain naturally rationalizes away terrifying anomalies, giving a patient stalker a massive advantage. On the night of March 31st, that stalker finally struck. The attacker waited in the dark of the barn, lured 4 members of the family outside one by one, and killed them. The killer then crossed the yard, entered the main farmhouse, and murdered the remaining victims, including the maid who had just arrived that afternoon. 6 people were dead. Yet, for 4 entire days, the outside world noticed nothing. Looking at the farm from a distance, everything appeared completely normal. Smoke was still rising from the chimney. The livestock in the barn were being fed on their regular schedule. When police arrived, they uncovered a chilling reality. The murderer hadn't fled the scene. They stayed. They kept the fire burning, prepared fresh meals in the kitchen, and slept in the house right alongside the corpses. By staying for days, the killer effectively moved into the family's life. He didn't just end their lives. He took over their routines, walking through their quiet rooms and listening to the rain strike the roof while the bodies lay nearby. It wasn't until April 4th that suspicious neighbors finally forced their way inside the property and discovered the slaughter. The discovery triggered a massive police response. Detectives fanned out across the country, questioning thousands of people and interrogating hundreds of suspects. Investigators pushed every possible theory. They explored local family disputes, attempted robbery, personal revenge, and drifters passing through the region. Every single lead fell apart. Over time, the physical evidence of the crime was erased. The farm buildings were ultimately demolished, and the fields reclaimed the land where the house once stood. Without a conviction, the identity of the murderer vanished into the woods. The man who committed the crimes effectively became the very phantom the original maid had been so afraid of. The story of Hinterkaifeck endures because it strips away our most basic sense of security. Your home is supposed to be the absolute safest place in your life. But this intruder bypassed the locks and simply waited. They lay perfectly still in the dark, learning the family's daily routines and listening to their conversations through the floorboards. It forces you to reconsider the minor details in your own environment. The house keys you swore you left on the counter. The strange thump from the ceiling when the house is quiet. We lock our doors to keep threats outside. But the true terror of Hinterkaifeck is the realization that sometimes, when you think you are alone in your house, you've actually been locked inside with the threat all along.